There was once a young scholar named Kenzo who traveled many miles to meet a revered Zen master living high in the mountains. Kenzo had studied at the finest academies, read thousands of scrolls, and debated with the most brilliant minds of his time. His robes were embroidered with symbols of achievement, and his mind brimmed with theories, formulas, and philosophies. Yet, despite all his knowledge, Kenzo felt hollow inside, as if something essential remained just beyond his reach. The master's temple was simple, surrounded by pine trees and morning mist. When Kenzo arrived, he found the old teacher sitting quietly by a low wooden table, preparing tea. Without introduction, Kenzo began speaking. He listed his accomplishments, quoted ancient texts, and asked complex questions about existence, truth, and enlightenment. His words tumbled out like water from a broken dam, filling the silence with noise. The master listened patiently, nodding occasionally, his weathered hands steady as he arranged 2 ceramic cups on the table. Kenzo continued talking, barely pausing for breath. He explained his interpretations of sacred teachings, his disagreements with other scholars, and his theories about wisdom. He spoke of emptiness and form, of paradox and clarity. Yet his voice carried an edge of frustration, restlessness that no amount of knowledge seemed to satisfy. The master gestured for Kenzo to sit. The scholar lowered himself onto the mat, still speaking, still explaining. His mind raced ahead even as his body came to rest. He had come seeking answers, but he arrived already convinced he understood most of the questions. The old teacher lifted a teapot and began pouring tea into Kenzo's cup. The warm liquid flowed steadily, filling the cup to its brim. But the master did not stop. He kept pouring. Tea spilled over the edge, streaming across the wooden table and dripping onto the floor. Kenzo watched in confusion at first, then alarm. "Master, stop! The cup is overflowing. It cannot hold any more." The master set down the teapot gently and met Kenzo's eyes. His gaze was kind but penetrating, like sunlight breaking through clouds. "You are like this cup," the master said softly. "You come to me full of opinions, judgments, and conclusions. How can I teach you anything when there is no space inside you to receive?" The words hung in the air between them. Kenzo opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. For the first time in years, he had nothing to say. The silence felt strange and uncomfortable, like wearing shoes that no longer fit. The master handed him a cloth. "Clean the table, empty your cup. Then we can begin." Over the following days, Kenzo learned to sit in silence. He swept the temple floors, carried water from the mountain spring, and watched the master prepare meals with mindful attention. At first, his mind rebelled, generating commentary on everything he observed. But gradually, the constant noise began to quiet. He noticed things he had never seen before, the way light changed throughout the day, the sound of wind through different types of leaves, the particular texture of each moment. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose, Kenzo asked, "Master, how do I empty my mind?" The teacher smiled. "You don't empty it by force. You empty it by letting go. Knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Information is not understanding. True learning requires humility, the courage to admit you don't know, to become a beginner again." The master continued, "Every day, students come to me carrying heavy bags of knowledge. They want me to add more weight. But wisdom is not about accumulation. It's about space the openness, to see clearly, to listen deeply, to experience fully without the filter of what you think you already know." He picked up Kenzo's cup, now empty and clean. When this cup is full, it serves one purpose. When it's empty, It can be filled with tea, water, or nothing at all. Its emptiness is its potential. Your mind is the same. The moment you think you know everything, you stop learning. The moment you admit you know nothing, every experience becomes a teacher. Kenzo thought about his years of study, the pride he took in his knowledge, and how that very pride had become a prison. He had been so busy defending what he knew that he stopped discovering what he didn't. His learning had become stagnant, like a pond with no inlet or outlet, still and lifeless. The beginner's mind, the master said, sees everything fresh, without prejudgment. A child learning to walk doesn't think about walking. They simply try, fall, and try again. They are empty of theory, but full of presence. That is the secret of true mastery. Remain forever a student. That night, Kenzo lay on his mat and felt something shift inside him. Not a dramatic revelation, but a gentle release, like setting down a burden he hadn't realized he was carrying. In the weeks that followed, Kenzo stopped trying to impress the master with his knowledge. He stopped interrupting with his own interpretations. Instead, he listened, he observed. He asked questions not to demonstrate cleverness, but from genuine curiosity. He began to notice how much he had missed while his mind was busy talking. The world became more vivid, more alive. Tea tasted richer. Silence felt fuller. Even familiar teachings revealed new depths when he approached them without the armor of certainty. One morning, as they sat together watching rain fall on the garden, the master turned to him. "Your cup is empty now. What will you fill it with?" Kenzo smiled. "Perhaps I'll leave it empty a little longer. There's so much space here, so much room to breathe." The master nodded, satisfied. "Then you have learned the most important lesson. Wisdom is not something you possess. It's something you become by remaining open, humble, and willing to unlearn what no longer serves you." When Kenzo finally descended the mountain, he carried no new certificates or titles. But his step was lighter, his heart more peaceful. He had arrived full of knowledge and left full of wonder. And that, he realized, made all the difference. The empty cup teaches us that learning never ends, but it requires space. We cannot receive new insights when we're cluttered with certainty. True growth happens when we're brave enough to admit we don't have all the answers. When we approach each day with curiosity rather than conclusion. In a world that values knowing, there is profound power in not knowing. In the emptiness, we find possibility. In humility, we discover wisdom. And in the willingness to be beginners again and again, we remain forever students of life. If you liked this story, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Thank you for staying with us. See you in the next story with new thoughts and new lessons. Until then, stay well and stay peaceful.